Thank you so much for joining us here in this chat today. And it's a pleasure for me and for the whole team of CSR Live to have you here. Okay, so we can just first of all start with a little introduction for our audience about the foundation and about you.
Sure. My name is Caroline Boudreaux, and I'm the founder of Miracle Foundation. And I started Miracle Foundation 20 years ago when my friend and I were traveling through India. She had been sponsoring a little boy, and she wanted to go and meet him. Of course, I thought it was a scam. I thought there was no way this little kid was real. But she had been sending money for years, and she wanted to go meet him. So he was in Odisha now. So we went to Odisha in May of 2000 and went to this really remote village about 45 minutes outside of Cuttack, and drove off this paved road and went to this remote village and met this little boy that she had been sponsoring in good faith for 4.5 years. He was real. I was shocked. He had the first picture she'd ever sent, and he was holding that, and his family was so poor. Lived in a village, mud hut, thatched roof, no running water. I had never seen anything quite like that, but it was a beautiful family and a beautiful villagers. We had a great time with them. We would do volunteer work there every single day. I think it was 48 degrees then. It was so hot in May of 2000. So one day, the director of the organization, this amazing man named Damodar Sahu, amazing man, a saint really, invited us to his house for dinner. And so we reluctantly agreed. It was Mother's Day. So I had gotten up early and called my mom for Mother's Day. We had gone to work in this village in this really, really hot weather all day. And then we were going to go to this guy's house for dinner. And we went to his house and opened the gate. And he lived in an orphanage. And we found these 110 little, not too clean, bald, hungry children. I had just never seen, I could not believe, I was not prepared at all to see orphaned children that day, that Mother's Day. And so we had a beautiful Hindu prayer service with them. We had dinner, rice, no sugar. Sugar and rice, but no dal. So no protein, which is why they were bald. And then that night we started playing with the children and holding them. And we were calling them Velcro babies because they were just attaching to us. They were so want for affection. And I picked up this little baby girl and sang her the lullaby my mother used to sing to me. And she fell asleep in my arms, and I went to take her and put her in her room. And I walked into her room and I found these wooden beds, like these picnic tables. And, I knew that minute that I put that baby on that wooden bed on Mother's Day, I thought, this is not right. This is unacceptable that we're letting children live like this. Where are their parents, and where is their food, and where is their shelter, and where is their comfortable beds? And I started the Miracle Foundation that day because I knew that they were desperate for a miracle. So we started that Mother's Day, May the 14th of 2000.
That is a beautiful and a very inspiring story. I have to say that, and it is a sad truth of life, that's for sure. But you chose a beautiful day to start this foundation, and it is a beautiful purpose that you're serving. So kudos to that. So Caroline, before starting the Miracle Foundation, you had another job that you were already in, or did you always were in social service and stuff like this?
No, it had nothing to do with social services. I was a businesswoman. I was in television. I was an executive at a television station for 10 years before I started Miracle Foundation, or 9 years before I started Miracle Foundation. So no, I was definitely not in social services. I was in the corporate world, a hard-charging businesswoman.
So
I really liked that work.
So after starting Miracle Foundation, did you just properly shift altogether from that corporate lifestyle, or were you like double timing? Were you still working there?
So I did. I didn't stay at the foundation. I didn't stay at the television station, but I did double work. So I did keep a job. I owned my own company. I started my own business when I got back. I started a consulting company when I got back from India, in an effort to not work full time and also be able to work on Miracle Foundation. So for those of you that are starting a business and wanting to, any kind of business, what I did was I just did something every day toward Miracle Foundation. Every day I would do something to advance the cause of Miracle Foundation. And that's how I started. So I worked for 3 more years as a consultant, and then gave up my consultancy and launched Miracle full boat in 2003.
That is great. So I just have, since the time I read about Miracle Foundation and I read about the the wonderful things that you're doing in India, I always have this question pop up in my mind, because your foundation being so widespread and, functioning in different countries, how difficult it is to manage sitting from some other country and the work going on in India, because it's like pretty far. So how do you, are there any issues you face in the management style?
Our agency is definitely India. So while we do work in other countries, we consult with other countries. The majority, 99% of our work is in India. So our programs are in India. We have an amazing country head. So as you know, it's all about the people. So who you have in charge, who you have doing the work. And so we have an amazing team in India. I think we have 40 employees now in India. So, and of course they're held to KPIs, they're held to standards, they're held to goals, just like a regular company, like a Microsoft would work at another country. That's the same thing we're doing it. So we have done a really good job of applying business principles to our social services work.
So I can see you have mixed both of the worlds pretty nicely here. Your experience in the corporate world and your experience in social service. That's really great. So what I want to know is that we all have been in a lockdown since a year now. This 2020, it's been terrible. But during this COVID lockdown, are there any specific projects that Miracle is working on to provide for the orphans? Like, is there any special projects that they're going on, or are there the regular projects are like in continuation?
Oh, definitely. So all of our work went remote. So some of the services we provide to children are, education, tutoring, life skills education, career counseling, aptitude testing, mental health counseling. All of it went remote. So all of those services that we used to do in person have now gone remote, and it's been a very successful transition. It really was not hard to do that transition. It's been pretty successful. We've learned a few years ago that these children aren't truly orphans. They have families, and a lot of them have been able to go home to their families. And our goal has been to make sure they're safely and permanently home. So once they left an orphanage setting because of COVID, our job, we systematically and methodically checked on every single child, made sure they were safely and permanently home. And when appropriate, and it was appropriate in a lot of cases, we did cash transfers to families to make sure that those kids were going to eat and continue their education. We would pay for Wi-Fi, tablets, things that we would, so back in the television days, people used to pay the Nielsen ratings used to pay people $1, and they would write down what they were going to watch every 15 minutes. For $1 US, this is not a lot of money. And you would write down what you were going to watch for every 15 minutes for a week. And so we thought, what if we provided tablets for children with Wi-Fi? Wouldn't they agree to meet with us on FaceTime or online every week or every 2 weeks so that we can check on them? And so far that experiment has gone well. So we have given hundreds of tablets out to children and Wi-Fi to their families, and we're able to ensure that they're safely and permanently home that way. So COVID's been a wonderful natural experiment for us.
That's great, because I was going through some statistics of your foundation, and it really intrigued me, because right now you just said that a lot of people have relatives. Even the orphans, they do have relatives. So what happens? Like, are they like separated, or are they lost, or what exactly is the case here? Because why are they not with them? Like, what's the case here?
I think a lot of people thought it was a good alternative. If we don't have enough money to feed our kids 3 meals a day. Look at that orphanage over there has enough money to feed our kids 3 times a day. We don't have enough money to have computers, but look at that orphanage over there. They have computers. Or a mother would die or a father would die, and then then we would just immediately think, okay, those kids need to go into an orphanage because that's where the services are. That is what people are paying for, where people won't help a family single mother, but they'll throw money at an institution. So people were following the services, and that is how kids ended up in institutions. So instead of the money flowing to the institutions, if the money could flow to the families, then children can stay together. So instead of paying an institution to raise a kid, you can sponsor a family to raise their own child, like an aunt or an uncle. Now, this is very tricky in some countries, but in India, kinship care is in the blood. This is not a hard conversation. Aunties, grandmothers, sisters, they take kids all the time. They're just happy to take relatives. It's not a big issue in India. So kinship care is a great play in India, and that's where we go to look for people to take care of the kids. And then, of course, always ask the kids. They know who's going to love them. They know who's going to support them.
That's true. That's true. And as you rightly said, it is actually a very common practice in India for aunties and uncles to take care of their nephews and nieces. But isn't it a tricky part? So because the kids who have been in the orphan for such a long time and suddenly, going back to their families, knowing that, they did leave them for a good amount of time, is it difficult for them to cope up with it?
It really wasn't the relatives that left them. And what we find is when you ask kids if they want to stay or if they want to go, they want to go. They don't want to look like they came from an orphanage. They don't want to look like an orphan. They don't want to look different and separate. And they don't, they really do want, the odd case is the 16 or 17-year-old. They're kind of like thinking about their studies. They're like, I don't have to do any chores here. I get to study here and I get a good school and people are paying, so they may or may not want to go. At 16 or 17, we do kind of leave it up to them. But a lot of kids want to go home. And if they want to go home, we should find ways for them to go home.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. So we do have to discuss it because we operate in this sector. What exactly has been the role and contribution of CSR for your organization, or how helpful has CSR been for the functioning of the organization in India, especially?
So that's a good question. CSR has been very helpful financially. The challenge there's a couple of challenges. One is there's a couple of laws saying that they have to help people in their own community. That's a challenge. We know that in the urban areas, that's where the CSR, that's where the corporates are. They're in the urban areas. Where are the poorest of the poor? They're in the villages. I mean, how many CSRs are really helping the people in the villages, which we know that's where their troubles are. That's where the poor are. And so then we argue then we complain about urbanization. So I think the corporate laws having to support people in their own backyard, the poor are often inconveniently located. I mean, look where I'm working. I'm working in India. It's pretty inconveniently located. That should not be the point. The geographic constraints of CSR, I consider really bad. I just think I mean, I get it where you got to make sure where, you got to be able to see where your money's going. There are other ways to see where your money's going. It's not hard to follow money if you're trying to do that. We do that all the time. We have a lot of donors in the United States who insist that we follow the money. I mean, we would never be able to be so successful if we couldn't prove where our rupees are going. So that's number one. The geographic constraints are pretty bad. The second one is it's focused on relief. Now that's important. People got to eat. People got to get health care. It's focused on relief, but really it could be focused on systems change. And when we say systems change, what we really mean is root cause. As long as you're paying for institutions to feed children, you're not focusing on root cause. And root cause often requires money for data, technology, policy, lobbying governments, lawyers, corporate people that aren't like necessarily working specifically with children. This has been very difficult money to get. So people practically, they want to put the food in the mouth of the babe. Never, ever going to change a system by putting food in the mouth of a babe. So that's the second real challenge with CSR. And then the third real challenge with CSR that has been that's been a little tough, and I'm just being honest with you here because I really do think that people need to hear this, is who you put in charge of your program oftentimes questions what we're doing as a program. They want to see what they want to do. But we want everybody to have, whatever. And it's like, look, we're professionals here. We have a job to do. This is no game. These are people's lives. These are children's lives. And we've got 40 social workers on the ground and people that do this 40 hours a week minimum. Let's let some experts run their companies. Let's let the experts decide what the children get and how much it costs to raise a kid and how to make sure they get safely and permanently home. So those are the three challenges of corporate social responsibility. And then, of course, first of all, the money is great. So there is a lot of money. That is a phenomenal thing. So we have been very successful on working with corporates. And then we found that corporates really do want to generally make a difference. It's been very powerful. So I don't want to say that it's totally bad. I've just seen some problems with it. And perhaps my company's in a position to be able to say the truth sometimes,
No, that's true, and that's great that you're putting it forward because, yeah, of course, logistical, like you said, geographical and logistical things can be managed by corporates very easily. So that is not an excuse that they should, have. And the second point that you said, that actually corporates are really focusing on the results, that they want to show people that if they're putting the CSR funds, so they're just providing the food in the mouth of the person. So that's a what do you say, a way that corporates generally work into. But this brings me to my next question, because you have been in a corporate background in the States. So what differences can you tell us are there between the CSR policies over there and in India? Because now you're familiar with both of them, I guess, pretty much. So are there actually any particular differences that you can tell us or tell our audiences about?
Yeah, they don't have corporate social responsibility laws in the United States. There is no law that says the corporate has to give money. It's very interesting. But what it does, and maybe the reason we don't have it is because individuals give. It's no fun. Everybody in the world wants three things. Everybody. We all want to love and be loved. We all want our families to be healthy, happy, and taken care of. And we all want our life to make a difference or to matter. We want to make a difference in the end. And if we let our corporations make our difference for them, we are really missing out on number three. It's really not up to corporates to change the world. It is up to me, individual people, to change the world. And that is our request to Indians. Don't let your company have all the fun. Don't let your company make all the difference for you. Make a difference. Put your money in the kitty, make a difference, vote on the future, vote on hope, use your money to do it. We have hundreds of individual donors, and that is truly where the difference is. They're not constrained by these laws. They can give their money, and then we can use their money to truly make an impact on the tens of thousands of children that we've already changed their lives. And we're going to continue to change lives by getting to root cause to keep children from entering the system in the first place. And that is the magic, is to keep children from ever entering the system.
That is great. So are there any specific cities in India that you work in, or is it all over the country?
Because we're doing systems change work, we're working all over the country. We're training thousands of social workers on what to do, thousands of CWC members, people that are working with these children. So when a family comes to the local governments and says, my wife died, or we can't afford to feed these kids, they will know options and have resources to offer families so that they can stay together. And so family separation is what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to prevent children from ever leaving a family setting in the first place. And so we're training thousands of government officials all over the country. And because of COVID, we're now doing that remotely. So our work will be able to expand to the villages, to the places that are hard to get to, that you have to take a moped to because there's no road. So it's been wonderful to offer Wi-Fi to people, because we can really get into the depths of India, which is, as you know, that's the missing piece.
True. Digitalization needs to reach the rural areas of India as well, because that's how you actually connect. That is absolutely true and correct. And it's a sad reality that still exists here, because a lot of areas still in India do not have the access to internet or do not have the access to the outer world. So they are pretty remote. So the Wi-Fi is not there, the internet connectivity is not proper. So that's true. That we have to work on that.
That's true, but a lot of places it is available for sure. So India is actually pretty darn connected. We're not finding that, of course there are places that aren't connected, but the bigger challenge is the places that are connected and people can't afford it. They're buying such low Wi-Fi that they can't get they can't get to it. So they might say that they have Wi-Fi and they might show up as connected, but once you get into the field, you realize they're paying for such low frequency that they can't even possibly access anything. So that's one of the things that our cash transfers do, is help pay for a higher level of Wi-Fi, and it changes the game. So really, it's not that they don't have access, it's that they can't afford access.
So do you directly give the money to the families, or do you have a person who makes sure? Because a lot of time this happens when you send the money for some other cause and it is used somewhere else. So is there a way that you make sure that the money or the cash or anything that the facilities that you're trying to provide to the families and the children is actually being used in the correct manner?
Absolutely. I mean, of course we have to. I mean, we're doing thousands. We did thousands of cash transfers during COVID. So of course we put things in place. One of the things that of course was the Wi-Fi. Are the children using the Wi-Fi? Are they accessing the education that came with the tablet? Are they using their tablet? So we can definitely check on that. And then of course talking to the children is key. But look, we know that when you give money to women, they feed their children. And we also know that when people don't have a job and they get money, they do buy food. So there definitely is a point where, they all got sent home for COVID. They couldn't work. 40 or 50 US dollars saved families of 6. So yeah, we definitely did some cash transfers during COVID. It's not that cash transfers are the secret, but cash transfers have been proven to be a very effective way for single women to keep their children.
True.
So, and then of course there's other things that we do for families. Maybe they just need a roof. Maybe they just need a room, one added room. Maybe they just need furniture to take these kids home. They all don't need cash transfers. Sometimes they just need something as simple as for us to pay for their transport to school for 2 or 3 years.
True. Well, you have been doing a fabulous work, because I was just going through your list of awards, and I actually, there were a lot of them. I see 2005 you got an Hope Award, 2009 you got an Impact Award, 2017 you got a Humanitarian Award. So no, I just want to know this from your perspective, that do these actually help somewhere, like in a recognition point of view, or do these actually help in increasing the impact of the social service that you're trying to do, or is this something that just goes parallelly and is like some fruit that you get?
It definitely helps, because when you get the award, then you meet all the other people that got the award, and they're sometimes powerful people. And I mean, it's all good, but we're so funny. We're so backwards, aren't we? We're so backwards. The philanthropist gets the award. I mean, we throw money at a problem and we get an award. How about the woman that is so resilient that she still has her 3 children with her, even though her husband died 5 years ago, and she works as a maid? How about that award? Where's that award? That's the grind of life. So the awards are super nice. It's not that they're not nice. It's not that I don't appreciate them. It's just that I think they're misplaced. I think the true awards go to the people with lived experience.
That is absolutely a very beautiful thought. But what I want to know exactly is that what is the future of this foundation? Where do you guys see? Because I know that you guys have been working on around 8 SDGs out of 17, if I'm correct. And yeah. So where do you see the foundation in the next 5 years, or 10 years, or whatever your goal is for the future?
Now, our goal is to close. Our goal is that children stay safely and permanently home with their families, and we don't need Miracle Foundation India anymore. That's the goal. We're trying to put ourselves out of business. We try every single day to put ourselves out of business. It's a different business model. We absolutely love it. So when you work on root cause and you work on systems change, you can fix the problem and be done. Think of polio. It's done. There were 50 cases last year of polio around the world. I mean, there are things that there are problems that are solvable. This is a problem that's solvable. So we look to solve the problem. We do that through making sure that children never leave their families in the first place. That means that all CWC members have options for families. It means that families don't think that orphanages are inevitable. It means that individuals like you and me all put into the kitty because nothing's heavy if everyone lifts. And then Miracle Foundation can go out of business and people can support another cause that needs to get solved in our world.
That is absolutely great that you want to go out of business, because closing this issue once and for all, that there are no more children that needs that kind of help, and that is absolutely great.
I think of the problems we solve downstream if we take care of kids right now. I mean, we have less people on drugs, we have less people in jail, we have less people that don't have an education, we have less beggars on the street. The problems that we solve by taking care of this are incredible.
So are you doing the same thing in the States as well, like on the same level?
No, it's not on the same level, but it's with the same group of kids. It's with kids in need of care and protection. In the United States, it's foster care. So yeah, we work in foster care, and the learnings we get from both countries have been incredible because all children need the same things. So it's really been very, very helpful to work in both countries.
That is great. And how often do you visit India, Caroline? How often do you come to India? And I'm not talking about 2020, so don't take this into account.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't been able to come 2020, but 2 or 3 times a year I come over to India and get to work with the team and the staff. Amazing, incredible staff there. Everybody, your listeners would be so proud of the people on staff that are doing the hard work every single day. They're listening to these families. They all speak their local language. We don't support if their social workers always speak their local language. So they are working closely with the families and the children, and they're doing a great job. So I can't do what my team does. So it's not that important that I'm on the ground. I just go on the ground to get to see the work.
Well, the work that your team and you have been doing is commendable, and it's fantastic. And we hope that we can help you guys to reach out to more and more people, and the people can actually get aware about this foundation or organization and can come to you for help if needed, or can somehow spread the word that there is some people who are there to help out the children in need. So that's great.
Yeah. They can follow us on Facebook. They can go to our website at Miracle Foundation India and become a monthly. There's nothing that you could do better than become a monthly supporter. That is our bread and butter. That is how we know how to budget against that kind of money. It's money that comes in every single month, so it's super helpful. We have hundreds of people doing it right now. We call them heartbeat contributors. They really are the heartbeat of our foundation, and we're dependent on them. So I do hope your listeners will do that.
Absolutely. And we also hope the same. And thank you so much, Caroline, for joining, us here in this chat and, sharing your experience and this wonderful work that you and the whole Miracle Foundation have been doing since so many years now. And we hope you soon run out of business. I really hope that you soon have to close Miracle Foundation. This is the first time I'm saying that to someone, that I really hope that you soon run out of business. And that's great. That's a really new take and a unique way to, look at this whole thing. So thank you so much for joining us here. Is there any last thing that you want to say to the audiences or the people that are watching you from India?
I know that if you didn't care that you wouldn't be listening to this. So thank you for caring, and thank you for making an investment in people that need us. It does take all of us. And aren't we the lucky ones? We're so lucky to be the givers.